Hello there out there. My name is Alex Ramirez. Alongside me is Guillermo Garcia. Thank you for joining us. This is 5 Round MMA. Today's show is brought to you by our fine sponsors, Rock and Green Eco-Friendly Cleaning Products, 5 Rounds Clothing Line, and Redemption Martial Arts. Guillermo, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good. I don't know about my brother over there. He's
Yeah,
actually missing
we're usually joined. There's actually a trio of us. Now there's only a duo today. Albert had a birthday weekend celebration.
He had a Game of Thrones party.
From what I heard, it's like a White Walker, just zombying around out there. So, but we wish him a speedy recovery. I'm sure it was worth every last drop of whatever he drank.
I'm sure it wasn't red wine.
Yeah. So I got UFC fight. Not a lot of news to talk about, but I want to start off with playing a game we haven't played in a while. This game has changed many names, but it's the same. New name is called 5 Round Showdown. So basically, I'm going to ask you 5 questions that pertain to the big news that happened around the world of mixed martial arts. I want to get your opinion on every single one of them. If you do,
All right, I got it.
if you can, please do that for me. Let me pull out the questions. All right, so this is 5 Round Showdown. First one, Cain Velasquez had successful knee surgery last week. His head coach, Javier Mendez, said that the damage was worse than expected, and he will make a full recovery, but no timetable has been set. Rumors been going around saying that it might be deep in 2015. So he was scheduled for UFC 180 in November against Fabricio Verdum. Now that's been changed in the interim title. My question to you is, for the sake of the heavyweight division, should they strip Cain Velasquez of the title just to keep things moving forward in the division that's already depleted anyways?
I think they shouldn't. I mean, if you look at Dominic Cruz, how long was he out until they stripped the title? So I mean, I think Renan Barão was the interim what featherweight bantamweight champion. I think they'll do the same until, especially if it's only a year until Cain Velasquez, and then he'll get the instant title match whoever holds that interim belt.
But do you think, like, with the benefit of the bantamweight title, was that Renan Barão was so dominant and so good that they couldn't give that? He was just finishing people left and right, and there was a dominant champion still. But do you see that, like, do you want an interim belt bounce around between Verdum, Mark Hunt, and all those type of guys?
Yeah,
Frank Mir, you know?
I wouldn't want the heavyweight belt being tossed around. If it was, the thing about Renan Barão is he's such a dominant that I wouldn't mind him at the time being the bantamweight champion instead of the interim bantamweight champ. And I feel with the heavyweights, it's gonna.
So basically, there's nobody really worthy.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a big circle unless Junior Dos Santos gets that opportunity.
That'd be a big. Wouldn't that be the worst nightmare? The interim belt, and then all of a sudden it lands in Junior Dos Santos' hands.
Junior Dos Santos is the second best heavyweight on the planet, and I mean, who has beat him besides Cain Velasquez?
That'd be like the worst possible scenario, I think. You know, like this interim belt gets passed around and then lands in Junior Dos Santos' lap. And then does right for Cain Velasquez recovery time, and they get no other choice but to put these two guys together again. See the fight that we've seen already, but
and that would hurt Cain Velasquez's legacy, to be honest.
Because you just find the same guy over again, right?
Exactly.
I guess what it was with his recovery was an MCL tear. So you had that, right?
I had an ACL MCL toe.
I guess how to say, he was sprawling in the gym, kind of a wet surface because all slippery guys, and kind of tweaked it, and they kind of did worse. They opened it up, it was worse than it is. So give us like a little recovery process. I know you're a soccer player, but almost the same thing, right?
Well, usually when they cut through it's not necessarily after the surgery, that's where the real pain, because you can deal with it before the surgery, but after the surgery, all the muscle trauma around your actual where they do the incision, you lose muscle on your thigh and then on your calf, the top end of your calf. So building that muscle up again, depending on how severe the incision was. Yeah, that's the trouble. Along with, you can heal physically. The problem now becomes mentally. Will you do the same exact movements left and right, lateral movements? That's what it really comes down to. And I still have fear every time I slip or something. I get scared because of my knee due to the MCL, ACL.
Well, you think if Cain Velasquez has the courage to go for explosive takedown, right? Type of thing.
Exactly. Wow. So, and he presses a lot, and it's a lot of wrestling, a lot of lateral movement. So I would be scared.
Well, I'm not surprised. You want to keep the belt on Cain Velasquez as long as possible, right?
Yeah.
All right, second, when Anderson Silva said that he signed a new 15-fight deal with the UFC, throwing away the old, 7-fight contract or 10-fight contract? It was
I think he only got 3 fights into the last
He says
contract.
He did it to make Dana White mad, to make his family mad, because he's here for, almost like a second rebirth of his career, he's going to say, right?
Yeah.
So I want to say to you, do you like this contract, and who do you see Silva matching up with? Like, do you see the top of your head?
I don't think he fulfills the 15-fight.
You don't think so?
I think it's just to keep him in the UFC for forever, never ever competing in any other organization.
And like Bellator or World Series of Fighting.
That's my thing. Why they're doing it. I don't think he reaches the 15. I think he maybe fights 2 or 3 more years.
2 or 3.
And again, they'll all be money making fights. But at the end of the day, he will not fulfill that 15 fight.
So is this like instead of like
how many years would that take to
you
fulfill?
would think maybe what the average fighter, like, what 2 or 3 fights a year,
Yes.
right? And those are guys who are young guys, not
Exactly.
who's in their late 30s, recovering from a horrific leg injury. So we'll see about
But
that.
who do I see him fighting after Nick Diaz? I see him maybe possibly fighting George St. Pierre. Probably see him maybe trying someone in the heavyweight division, maybe a Phil Davis.
Heavyweight division, really?
Yeah, well,
light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight. Sorry, light heavyweight, which would be a Phil Davis.
Oh yeah, might as well, right?
And then there'll also be anywhere in between there, maybe a Maurice Shogun.
That'd be kind of cool.
Rua.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to coach opposite Tough together, but they're not gonna.
And I would want to see that. I
Yeah.
mean, like, again, what implications would that fight ever have? None, but I would still want to see it.
Yeah, I want a little hypothetical too. If you could only see one fighter, past or present, fight 15 times, who would it be?
Past or present,
Yeah.
15 times?
Yeah, you can only see one card a year, and that fighter's on it. You know, you see him fight 15 times.
Well, of course, Cain Velasquez.
Cain Velasquez has he even fought 15 times in his career?
No, I
he's
don't-
10-0, 11-1.
Yeah, 11-1.
We'll see. We'll get to that 15
Or
fight
Brock
mark.
Lesnar. I would love to see Brock
That'd
Lesnar.
be kind of cool to see. All right, so next one. Last week, Vitor Belfort kind of ruined the UFC's announcement about his upcoming bout with Chris Weidman to take place in Los Angeles at UFC, I believe, 184. Belfort just put like a little Instagram post, him versus Weidman. The date is set. God is on my side, or something like that. I can see it was so breaking that the UFC was prompted by Dana White to do an announcement on their Instagram saying, okay, you know what, yeah, Weidman versus Belfort, and also Ronda Rousey versus Kat Zingano. So do you think it's kind of like a little slight at did Belfort kind of like pull the rug under the UFC doing this, or was it kind of a mere accident?
No, I think it's a promotion of himself, to be honest. I
Yeah.
think he's being a little selfish. Maybe he's even excited to get back
Yeah.
in the octagon. I mean, he's been working, especially without PED. So, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure he's like, let me
Or
get
TRT, not PED.
Okay, TRT, let me get through this fight.
Yeah.
And then maybe I can start getting fights in Brazil again. And I can get, back to my normal TRT self.
So a little side question here. Are you good at keeping secrets? Have you ever ruined a surprise or spilled a secret?
I'm horrible. Don't let me buy you a gift because that gift will not last to your birthday, to your Christmas. It's pretty much going like 5 seconds after I buy it.
Oh, yeah?
I'm coming out of the car with me, and I'm surprising you right there on the spot.
So Gamosita, don't ever tell you any secrets, right? Don't ever plan surprise parties either.
Well, I don't know. Secrets I'm good with.
Yeah.
It's presents. I'm
Presents.
not good.
All right, next one. Newly signed UFC lightweight Eddie Alvarez just come off a pretty tough battle
With
against
Donald
Donald Cerrone. Now a new matchup has been made for this guy against Benson Henderson. It's a pretty tough matchup, 2 in a row,
Ouch.
pretty tough ones. Are these matchups coincidence? Like Alvarez maybe to prove himself, or is the UFC using Alvarez as a point to other MMA organizations saying, "Hey, if you think your top guy's good, he's not when he comes here."
Well, see, that's the thing. That I never thought about it that way, but now it makes perfect sense. I think it's a combination of both now.
Yeah.
That you bring
Alvarez wants the guys, but also the UFC's using him.
I think with
as an
Eddie
example.
Alvarez, because he was so dominant in Bellator, it's like, okay, if you're so dominant, let's put him to the wolves.
Yeah.
To our best guys, start off with Donald Cerrone, which is not even in the title conversation.
Kinda
Maybe now
top
a little bit.
5-ish, yeah, but at the time.
And now he's really gonna get Benson Henderson, who is was
Cream of the crop, right?
Yeah,
like you said, like to
2,
quote
3
you, right?
Yeah, 2-3 of the top of the division.
Yeah.
And again, if he loses to Benson Henderson, that's a 2-fight losing streak. I mean,
To start off, he's 0-2 in the
he
UFC.
just got signed. Is he gonna get cut right off the bat? I was like, yeah, Bellator, you had your star in Eddie
Yeah.
Alvarez. Bring in Chandler over, Michael Chandler over here, and see what we do. Yeah, see what we do to him.
That's unfortunate because the guy, he does bring it, but like you said, maybe this is such that, hey, you know what? UFC saying, hey, Alvarez, you drop down to 145
Yeah, I know.
because he's a shorter lightweight.
And you could see the big difference between
That's
Donald
cra-
Cerrone.
You know, if you think about it, Alvarez is maybe borderline one lightweight, maybe looks more comfortable at featherweight. And Benson Henderson, like, we're talking about going up to 170.
Exactly. I think to be honest, Eddie Alvarez would do a lot better in the featherweight division.
Yeah.
Than lightweight.
Yeah, so speaking of featherweight division, good transition there. Cub Swanson sent out a tweet last week saying the UFC has guaranteed him that if he wins against Frankie Edgar, he will challenge for the title and not Conor McGregor. So is this the UFC doing what's right by the numbers and who's next in line, or do you think they have UFC has bigger and better plans for Conor McGregor at the moment?
To To be honest, I think Conor McGregor is next in line. I mean, how you gonna?
Well, Cubs wants to say if I win, Frankie, or you think,
How
do you think UFC's
How many times has UFC said you're promised a title shot and then strip it right
I'm
away?
just saying. I mean, that's kind of. I mean,
No, it has to be Conor McGregor after beating Dennis. It depends on how he beats Dennis Seaver. If he knocks him out, Conor McGregor will face Jose Aldo for the title next.
You think maybe they're trying to hold off on McGregor's title shot until they get back to Ireland?
No, there's no way. I think if Conor McGregor has to win the belt in the United States, and then his first title.
Really, you don't see
be,
like in Ireland, like just the roof going off the building if he wins it.
That's unfair especially for Jose Aldo.
if he's a champion.
Well, yeah, if he's a champion. But think about it. If you're in Jose Aldo's shoes, would you be like, okay, you're the champion?
Yeah.
You have to go to the challenger's house and defend your title.
He did defend his title and his own in Brazil, but I guess he's a champion. He has that right. But I don't know. I kind of think that is maybe the UFC has something like trying to hold Conor McGregor back. Not just yet. Like, we'll give you Dennis Seaver. We'll give you a couple of other tough fights in featherweight division. Build up your stock more, and then we'll burst a bubble in Ireland against you and whoever the featherweight champions at the time, I think.
The thing is, oh, man, why wait? It's right now. It's a trending topic right now.
Strike while the iron's hot.
Yes, striking while it's hot. Everybody has their Lucky Charms at home now.
For real. Especially after Chad Mendes' performance. But yeah, okay, that's it for 5 Round Showdown. I think by default, you're the winner here.
Yeah.
So stick around, guys. I want to talk about some UFC Fight Night coming up, so stick around.
Please visit 5roundmma.com on our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. 5roundmma.com.
We are back. Thank you for sticking around. UFC Fight Night Rockhold versus Bisping, also known as UFC Fight Night 55, if you're keeping track of the numbers. It's going to take place on Saturday, November 8th, live from Australia. At the.
That's a good question. I never keep track of the numbers. I keep track of who's fighting.
Yeah, usually I think they kind of stop at the whole. I think because the pay-per-views are the numbers now, and then like the fight nights are just like the titles now. So this one's going to take place in Australia. I think on Fight Pass. Another Fight Pass one. They're trying to do whatever they can to get people.
Yeah, but Fight Pass. I really want to watch this fight, and Dana White's still not gonna have me buy the Fight Pass. But I really want to see Luke Rockhold versus Michael Bisping.
It's kind of like, you think he'll ever get to the WWE desperate level, $9.99 a month? Have Vince McMahon come out and say no more 6-month commitment. It's now month to month. If you sign up, you get a free 30-day trial.
I actually haven't heard any negative things about the Fight Pass, so maybe they're in better shape than we think.
Yeah, maybe because I think you guys will bump up the cards as well too. Like this is a marquee matchup. I think main event.
No, I think so too. I think it has good implications either way. Not only do they have a rivalry going, but also the winner could be potentially moving up the rankings.
So I want to actually talk about that. The main event, a middleweight bout, Bisping and Rockhold. Bisping is coming off a pretty impressive win over Kung Lee with the whole minus. Was Kung Lee on PEDs? Was he not on PEDs? As of course, his case now he wasn't on PEDs.
Yeah.
Either way, he still pretty much destroyed him. But he kind of has this pattern of like winning and then losing pretty bad, and then winning really decisively, then losing pretty decisively. So what Michael Bisping will show up at this fight?
I don't think. I think the best Michael Bisping always shows up. I don't think he ever takes an off fight. The thing is, the cream of the crop of talent. There goes my terminology again.
Twice already.
I know. It just increases with his wins. So right now he's facing someone that's probably in the top 5 in the middleweight division. I think Michael Bisping comes up short again, and I think he'll again fight someone in the lower ends of the middleweight. Destroy him, setting up another high end middleweight
he comes up short again.
Fight, and he'll come up short.
It's like
I think he's the gatekeeper of the middleweight division to get into title contention.
Yeah, it's kind of there's so many like hills and valleys with Michael Bisping.
Yeah, for Michael Bisping, I would slate him at 6 for here on out.
If you want to beat him in the top 5, right?
Until he starts losing to the lower talent.
So let me get your opinions on Luke Rockhold. What is it about him that you like? AKA guy.
Well, first I like his camp, AKA, of course. That's a little bit biased, but the thing about Luke Rockhold,
12-2.
I think after losing to Vitor Belfort, I think a new mindset approached Luke Rockhold. Even if you see his interviews, Michael Bisping is bashing Luke Rockhold left and right. And Luke Rockhold, you know what? I don't like this guy. I'm gonna go inside the cage. He's gonna get hurt, and I'll do my fighting, do the talking.
Yeah.
And I think it's a whole different mentality when you used to think of Luke Rockhold, this surfer dude. He's a pretty boy. He's
that's
a show
how
off.
kind of was his billing in Strikeforce. It's kind of like, Luke Rockhold, the best looking guy in mixed martial arts, right?
Exactly. And I think now you see his composure, and even you read some articles in a lot of the websites.
Yeah.
It's really talking about how Luke Rockhold is really, really mad at this guy, and he's not gonna let none of the talking or anything change his game plan. He's gonna go in there and he's gonna get back. He really wants Vitor Belfort again, from what it sounds like in his interviews. But I mean, he wants that title, and I think now he's really like focused in on that. And Michael Bisping's the first guy that is trying to push him over the edge, and he's gonna be like, no, you know what? I'm gonna destroy you and hurt you.
You think that the whole mentality of AKA, like they seem like nice guys, but they're kind of pit bulls in the octagon, right? Like Daniel Cormier, when he gets mad, he gets mad.
Oh,
Cain Velasquez is always pretty even killed, but he gets that look in his face where it's like, I'm gonna mess this guy up.
And maybe that got into Luke Rockhold now. I think though, especially being around Cain Velasquez, Daniel Cormier, those are the guys that set a good example.
Yeah,
they'll do the interviews. They'll be nice and friendly. They'll shake people's hand. Of course, he's not gonna shake Michael Bisping's hand.
Yeah.
But you started seeing that in Luke Rockhold, and I like that.
Yeah.
I think Luke Rockhold is in a title run right now, especially if he beats Michael Bisping.
Yeah, so let's talk the hypotheticals here. Obviously, Wyman and Belfort. Do you think with the win here for Rockhold, if he does beat Michael Bisping, is he getting Vitor Belfort no matter what, even if it was a title?
You know what? It's tough because you still have Jacare.
Yeah.
And the Alligator is on a tear himself. So I think even though didn't Luke Rockhold already face Jacare?
I think so, yeah.
And Luke Rockhold came on top, right?
Yes.
So if Chris Weidman is a champion, it's so difficult. I would give him Luke Rockhold.
Really?
I would.
Yeah.
I would jump.
You don't think even if he wins?
I think Jacare is not a household name like Luke Rockhold is.
Yeah, you don't think even with if Belfort does come up short, they'll give him Rockhold just as a grudge match, and this will really prove if Rockhold is number one contender now. If he could get past the former challenger.
And I think Luke Rockhold also will get Vitor Belfort if he is the champion.
Yeah.
The thing is, with Luke Rockhold, I just wish it wasn't on the Fight Pass so everybody can see Luke Rockhold. How are you gonna build up? Okay, you have Luke Rockhold. I mean, Chris Weidman versus Vitor Belfort, which is pay-per-view, what is it, like February?
Yeah.
UFC 140...
184.
184. Luke Rockhold, if you at least put him out there so the whole masses can see him and be like, hey, this is the next guy in line.
Yeah, because fight fans know him.
Yeah.
But I think as
fight
far
fans
as like
do know.
Yeah.
But the general audience, I mean, like, why was Brock Lesnar such a big, sell for UFC?
Yeah.
He was well known outside of just the fight world.
Yeah.
And I think you got to start building your stars like that. At least offer them, at least pay-per-view, I would say.
Yeah.
I think this is not maybe a pay-per-view event, but this is a good pay-per-view co-main event.
Yeah, going to Rockhold's record, I mean, his first fight in the UFC was in Sao Paulo, Brazil, or in Brazil, against Vitor Belfort on FX, but it was in Brazil.
Exactly.
Second one, he actually main evented against Rockhold against Philippou, but that was like a weekday. It was a weekday card. I remember it was like on a Wednesday or Tuesday night. And then he was on the UFC 172 card, but in the middle of the pack is Tim Bosch. So he hasn't had that opportunity to shine yet. So maybe you're right. Maybe he is main eventing again, but it's on Sydney, Australia. And
but see, that's what happens when you have so many fights every other weekend instead of, stacking it up like we used to see it.
True. Also on the card, going down the lightweight bout between Ross Pearson and Alain Quinta, who has Matt Serra jiu-jitsu in his corner. I guess he's New Jersey jiu-jitsu and MMA is on a run right now with Alain Quinta, Chris Weidman, a couple other guys from that camp, the Serra Longo camp.
But, I mean, you bring up the jiu-jitsu, but I haven't seen no jiu-jitsu from Chris Weidman,
I just remember because Serra jiu-jitsu.
Well, yeah, with Dan Hardy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I haven't seen really that much jiu-jitsu out of the New Jersey area.
That was Dan Hardy's secret weapon, right? Bringing in Matt Serra when he fought GSP. Secret weapon coming up, and it was Serra Jiu-Jitsu. I've been training with Matt Serra because he's the last guy to beat GSP. But yeah, the Serra Longo fight team, Alain Quinta, is kind of like I think the UFC likes him. They want him to, I guess, to be.
He has a tough matchup. Down. Ross Pearson's no joke.
Yeah,
Ross Pearson and he likes standing and banging. So.
Yeah, and I think he's still mad about the Diego Sanchez card. The decision on that one.
Yeah, so I really think Ross Pearson's gonna win that fight. To be honest.
Yeah, because he's coming off a pretty big win off of Gray Maynard.
Yes.
So he's already proven that he could beat one former contender, and if he could stop Alain Quinta, who's maybe a future contender, quotations, then I think
I like Diego Sanchez, but I mean, that fight could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So I think Ross Pearson's is no joke, especially, and he's on the rise.
I also want to jump down to a highlight heavyweight matchup of our former guest Soa Paleli, the Hulk Paleli.
Hulk smash
is on this card.
And he's gonna continue smashing.
Yep. But
who's he fighting?
Walt Harris. He had a replacement fighter, but we actually asked him at the point too, like if he was overlooked from whether it be the writers or even the UFC. He said, I don't even worry about that stuff. But his record is what? Let me see his record. I mean, 21-4.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. And I think in a division that needs new lifeblood, this guy is it. I mean, he's going to write books. He's starting movies. I mean, he's almost like a star waiting to be polished and given to everybody, but the UFC is kind of still.
I even like the whole Hulk smash thing. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just UFC needs to come and package him a little bit or good after,
Yeah.
especially after this fight. There's a lot of inactivity in the heavyweight division. We talked about Cain earlier. I mean, you got Stipe Miocic that hasn't fought the longest, and he was supposed to
And
fight
honestly,
Junior Dos
I
Santos.
know nothing about Stipe Miocic.
And the couple of fights that I have seen of him, I was
I know. I think
the
I know
biggest
he's from
fan.
like Ohio. That's about it.
Yeah, so I mean, for the Hulk, I think this win actually he should start fighting top contenders or at least in the top 10. Especially a lot of people that are inactive. You're talking about Stipe Miocic. You're talking about
Josh
Frank
Barnett.
Mir,
Frank
Josh
Mir, who's like on the
Barnett.
fence still. Yeah.
Who else is?
Yeah, Alistair Overeem.
I think Alistair Overeem just fought.
Yeah,
But
well, I mean, guys like
there's a lot of inactive heavyweights that are in the top 10 that need to start being active because I don't think they deserve to be in the top ranks if they're not fighting.
That's a very good point.
Sal Pelelli is fighting.
Yep, not we're just saying like he's a former guest. We actually a little biased here. That's pretty much I think for the card. I think anything else I could see. You want to talk about any other worthy bouts you want to talk about?
No, I mean for the most part that's unless you're a hardcore MMA fan. Will you know any of the others to name? But I mean, those are the guys to highlight.
Yeah. Also, actually, a former MFC middleweight champion, Sam Alvey, is making his second return to the
unless you get into
unless you
hardcore
really know
MMA,
mixed martial arts, you know Sam
about
Alvey
smiling Sam Alvey.
So actually, from top to bottom, this is a pretty a good card. I think a lot of scrappers on this card. It is Australia, so the time difference is going to be
I was
kind of
gonna
weird.
say, are we gonna have to wake up like at 6 in the morning, 5 in the
I don't
morning?
have the fight pass. I'm not waking up.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, so that's also going to be followed too by UFC Fight Night. Actually, on the same day. Is it the same day?
November 8th, which would be next weekend.
Yeah, Shogun and St. Piox are going to fight as well.
Yeah, so it was late scratch.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be Shogun versus what's his name, Manua.
Yeah, Jamie Manuel.
Yeah, now it's St. Priya. I can't even say
St.
it.
Piox. That's Albert's
St.
boy.
Yeah, Albert's boy. I think Shogun takes this.
Yeah.
Late replacement. Why? If it was like anybody else, I'm pretty sure they would have pushed it back.
Also, Ian McCall against John Linkner as well. And then other than that, it's kind of like a little.
Yeah, a
Why
lot of
can't they
Brazilian.
combine the two cards together, right? Well, you have an awesome card, but
Yeah.
they want to split them up. So
the Ian McCall, I think, is the most important fight actually.
Yeah.
Because Ian McCall is knocking on the doorsteps again
Yeah.
for Demetrius Johnson, even though he already fought him twice.
Well, he had this real cool quote about the featherweight division, saying how the reason why the flyweight division is so unpopular is because he blames Mighty Mouse's personality. He said that Mighty Mouse has a personality of a coffee cup. He said, no, scratch that. My coffee cup has the picture of Joe Rogan on it, so my coffee cup has more personality than Demetrius Johnson.
I totally agree with Ian McCall. That's the problem with Demetrius Johnson is that besides his fight, when do you really see him talk or market or like doing something commercial?
Yeah.
I mean, at least I see Metro PCS.
Where's his Metro PCS commercial? Where's Mighty Mouse at? I guess, but when you're sponsored by
But see, the thing about Ian McCall is again he's down in Brazil. This is like the second time in a row he's in Brazil.
Yeah, and he's also obviously coming in. He's one of the most popular flyweights. Obviously, he did scrap 2 times.
He has a great mustache to show off on TV.
I think it was the first guys to carry the little the mustache.
Come on, Dana White. Everybody knows that the mustache is in right now, especially for No Shave November.
Yep. So you got Shogun fighting just to fight again, basically, right?
Yeah.
Keep his head relevant. But yeah, so 2 cards. Next week we will see the results in that, dive in that, see what kind of storylines are birthed from those cards. Until then, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 5 Round MMA. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, and Podomatic, and always check out 5roundmma.com.
Ask us questions on social media too. We'll respond.
Oh yeah,
comments on YouTube,
conversations,
on Instagram. We'll get back to you
We have
guys
nothing better than to talk to you guys. That's what we want to do.
and talk about MMA.
So make sure you get all aspects of social media. And I think that's it for this week. I do want to do is Steven Razzo of Razzo Records
Oh, okay. So
friendly enough to do with the Rock and Green star of the show? He's pointing his finger and he's pointing to me, I think.
Yeah,
All
I think
right. So I am today's Rock and Green star of the show. A big thank you to all of our sponsors again. And I think we'll see everybody next week. Hopefully Albert is okay and he survived his White Walker syndrome.
Let me take over Albert's responsibilities.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to thank our executive producer, Guillermo Cita.
Thanking yourself.
Thank you myself. And I'd like to thank Razzo with Razzo Records.
Steven Razzo Records.
Yeah, Steven Razzo with Razzo Records. I called him by his last name.
Oh, yeah.
And thank you for the audio. Thank you for the the time. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
And then that's your turn.
Oh, now it's my turn. Cream of the crop.